When I used to hear Think, Pair, Share, I thought, nothing special. Just have students turn and talk, right? However, I was surprised when I learned how to really get the most out of it. So let's check it out together and see why it became my go-to learning strategy. The think phase is probably the most commonly skipped phase of Think, Pair, Share, but it may be the most important. To begin, I tell the class that I want them to be completely silent for a certain amount of time. It's usually 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on the depth of the problem we're working on. Then, I pull out my phone, set a timer, and say, ready, set, go. To ensure kids really do stay silent and think about the problem, I walk around the room during the entire timed period and motion to anyone who isn't completely silent to stay quiet. This is actually one of the most consistent things I model throughout the first few weeks. The goal is to make this second nature for the kids after a couple weeks. It's crucial that students are actually quiet and thinking about the problem because all students need time to think individually before moving on to group discussion. Many times when we hear Think, Pair, Share, we think it simply means students working together on a problem. However, if students aren't given a chance to think quietly, the pairing phase is less effective because not as many students will have time to think of something to share with their group. In addition, students are more likely to get off task if structured quiet time isn't built in. After my phone timer goes off, I then release the groups to begin working together for another timed phase. I usually give 2 minutes. Most of the time, I allow students to work with their entire group of 4, but sometimes we switch it up and only work with a shoulder partner within each group. While students are working together, I continue to walk around the room to monitor. However, this time, I'm not just trying to make sure students are on task, although that's part of it. Instead, I'm monitoring to see how the groups are progressing through the problem. This acts as an informal, formative assessment opportunity. Are all the groups getting the problem done easily? Is everyone stuck? Is it mixed? Are there common errors that I can discuss with the class? I'm making quick judgments to determine my next teacher move. For example, if everyone is stuck and talking is becoming unproductive, I'll stop the pair phase and go over the problem for the entire class. On the other hand, if everyone finished quickly and it seems that almost every group got the right answer, then I'll move on without an explanation. After my phone timer goes off, or if all the groups were completely stuck, I play a Mario sound to signal the end of the pair phase. I stole this idea from Andrew Stadell. He used the same Mario sound to get the audience at his presentation to direct its focus back on him. And I love it because it's a positive way to get student focus back on me. Instead of me having to say, hey guys, everyone up here, come on guys, get quiet, guys, please. I can save my voice and students get trained to quickly end their conversations and come back to me. After the Mario sound, we begin to share what happened in group discussions with the entire class. But it's not a random sharing process. There's still structure to it. First, I only allow the reporter for each group to be the talker for the group. The reporter is announced at the beginning of class based on the numbers written on each desk. For example, I may say, let's have number 3s be the talkers for their table today. Each group has numbers 1 through 4 on the desk, and each day, a new number is chosen to be the reporter for the group. This really helps me get more voices heard in the class. It prevents certain students from dominating conversation or answering all the questions, and it gets me out of the habit of choosing the same kids every day. So, during the share phase, I start to pick reporters from around the room to share ideas, strategies, or answers their group came up with. However, I never want a student to be put on the spot and embarrassed. Therefore, I consistently tell the reporters that they are always allowed to talk with their group again before sharing with the class, and that what they're about to say is a group answer and not their individual answer. This has helped take down cold call pressure. Also, I'm not just randomly calling on reporters to share. Many times the groups I'm calling on is strategic based on what I saw as I walked the room during the pair phase. If there were interesting strategies in certain groups, I'll call on those groups. If there are ideas to debate, I'll make sure those groups are called on as well. If there isn't a ton of variation between groups, I'll make sure to call on those who haven't had a chance to participate yet. Finally, if I notice some common errors during the pair phase, I'll anonymously bring them to the front of the room to discuss. Here's an example from earlier this year. I believe we were working on this problem. What is the measure of each angle? As I walked around the room during the pair phase, I noticed 3 different equation setups for the problem throughout the room. Only one of those setups is correct, so I decided to play the Mario sound before students were done solving the problem in order to discuss. Next, I said, I noticed some really good work that I'd like to highlight. I'm about to write 3 equation setups on the board, 1 that is correct and 2 that are good thinking but not correct. Please don't yell anything out as I write. Then, I wrote the 3 setups on the board. Next, I had the students silently reflect on which setup was the correct one. After that, I had the students discuss with their groups for 30 seconds. Finally, I shared which one was correct, and we talked about the good thinking that went into the other setups. I talked about how it was possible that the setups equal to 90 and 180 were related to what we learned the previous day. The goal is to correct errors without making anyone feel like they're not good at math or silly for doing an incorrect setup.
How often should we use Think, Pair, Share? Are there some problems that align with it better than others? We'll answer those questions and more in a future video about chunking the lesson.